of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.
Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. Neo-diplomacy is the new currency. The reason that I can say that is you have a couple of different factors occurring right now as we speak on the world stage. The dollar is being disrupted. Nations are no longer wanting to engage with the United States. But the third factor that affects each and every one of us is that there is a diaspora from the African continent that's willing and able to engage our brothers and sisters on the continent.
All right. Shalom. Salama. Siemi. Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world, whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. I welcome you all this morning. All right, shalom, family. As I'm sipping my tea, I'm recovering. It's going to take me I would say at least another week or two. They're asking me when I came back, the students were asking, they said, are you doing better? And I told them, look, I'm glad that I'm here. It's a blessing to be here, even though I have some students that they try me, but I also have to laugh because I know that I try the Most High too. So it is one of those things that all I know is I'm there as the Most High needs me to be there for that particular season to learn and to understand a thing or two. And of course, when I'm back, the other teachers are saying, did you see this? Did you see this? I said, of course I did. We're entering a very interesting era. And I think one could describe this as a twilight zone of sorts. Do not adjust your radio. Oh, I actually wanted this. Give me just a second. This was a great interview. This article comes from our brother Asaph. Brother Asaph in the chat. I didn't even get a chance to see what he had showed me yesterday. And because yesterday I was in some meetings, a lot of good things happening in the background as we are moving towards this hospital project initiative. It's a hospital project. Part of that is you got to secure the hospital. So a lot of things that the Most High is doing in the background to make that happen. I understand that whenever I go through these types of attacks, the Most High allows for those attacks to happen, not to just bear me down and have me struggling and everything else, but honestly, it's because your flesh has to go through some things just so you know that your strength, your being, everything belongs to Yahuwah. And that was something that I truly had to understand during that basically 5+ days, really being messed up. But during those days, I'm going to tell you, those were some of the most interesting days in terms of the global affairs that have been happening. And I thought that we speculated within this community. Oh man, we're speculating this, we're speculating that. Oh, this and that. And the reality was actually this. The Most High has actually allowed for us to see what has been on the foreground for a while. What his plans have been for a while. We're blessed to actually see his plans. It may not make sense to a lot of people. It's not supposed to. And understand that because it's not supposed to make sense, it is supposed to literally hamper relationships. Because that's what the Most High does. He gets he starts to thresh. He starts to sift. We become a sore to what? Our friends, our family, you name it. Because why? Because we have been given that foreknowledge to understand what's been happening. And it's not like nobody's looking through a crystal ball. No, it's actually you're reading your word. You're being a doer, a hearer and doer of the word. You are doing something extraordinary. You're actually asking the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, to give you understanding in this time that, technically speaking, not many people have understanding in it. They'll look at you like you're crazy until they have to reconcile why they're seeing people being eaten, physically cooked, prepared, stewed, whatever you want to name it. That would seem so ghastly. But now can't we all move on to something else? No. Just ignore the wickedness. It's okay. There's nothing to see. We got caught. Let's figure something else out. Let me tweet as much provocative racial racially charged memes, truths. So we can continue to hide on out. And again, I always stated this: the more that's exposed by them, the more you're going to have their quote unquote cover blown. And that cover being blown is an actual cost. A lot of what our people did not understand, I think a lot of our people do, and it's beginning to have the impact. Our silence is actually the most deafening thing that can be stated, because again, we control the image of America. I know that's very hard. We control the image of America. America wants to be this, America wants to be that. The problem is, America is that nerdy, unsure kid in school that goes around bullying other kids because that kid needs to have affirmation that they believe that what they're doing is cool. So the continued interaction, whether positive or negative, continues to validate their action. Because of our people saying and not doing and not being involved in their interactions, no matter how positive, no matter how negative, that is actually creating an impact bigger than what we could even imagine. They know that they need our voice. Hey, can't you, why don't you? Every single time. And what that's doing is, it's destroying them from the inside out. It's destroying them. Why are we so quiet? Do you understand? They're literally thinking, are they going to have a coup? Are they going to socially do that? Look, their whole biggest thing, I'm telling you, I know the mind of how these folks work. Their whole biggest thing is, why are we not able to infiltrate with our new COINTELPRO folks? Why are we not able to see them, raise their hands in the air? Why can't we hear them? Why are they not coming out and protesting and showing force to a person of vanity, not providing the interactions totally destroys them. And you can see that they've literally hit the self-destruct button. They're just running around. They're running here, they're running there. China, you need to do this. Nations, you need to do that. Because you want to know why? Because they're not sure. That just popped in my head the idiocracy moment. What's your name? Not sure. No, not my name's not sure. I'm just not sure why you're asking my name. Keep it moving, dumb. And I think you all know the rest. Brando. I laugh at that movie, but that movie actually spells it all. It's a devolvement. And that's clearly what you're seeing in this nation is a devolvement. And we simply stayed out of their way. No, Johnny, that's not what you need to do, Johnny. You should think like this, Johnny. You should really think about other people's feelings, Johnny. Sally, Susie. No. Let them show you who they are. Let it all rip. Well, this post, you can't get any more blatant. Well, if they're thinking, let it rip. I always say, hey, thank you. Now, let people know the rest of you. Thank you. Now, continue to show people who you really are. And now they're peeling back the layers and the layers and the layers. And that facade is that they're literally looking like gremlins. Is that who you really are? See, the problem is for our generation, we already knew this. Just wait until they show you who they really are. We knew this. We've been saying this. And now the reality is they don't even like themselves. Because now what it is, they've run into that loop, and I'm telling you, they're on spin cycle. They cannot get out of that loop. And honestly, it's a hilarity to see them just stumble and fumble and stumble and fumble. And it's sad. But that wasn't just for us, that was for all the nations to see what we've been dealing with. These are the people. So I think it's funny and it's very appropriate as we've read and as we've read Isaiah 14, as we've read Isaiah 44 and 47, as we've read Habakkuk chapter 2, as we've read what the Most High was literally telling his prophets, take up this parable. This is that city. This is this people. Why? Because now people are beginning to realize, wait a second, we gave over our power and authority to a bunch of bumbling idiots. Father, please forgive us. We gave over our power and our authority that you had given your people, through your covenant with our forefathers, to a bunch of bubbling, stumbling, blubbering idiots. And the reality is, we have to be truthful about that. Every skill and every device that they had was to literally draw us closer into their nexus. But literally, the key has always been separate, participate, do not participate in their plagues. Jeremiah 50:51. Okay. Do you know that we literally had the keys to their defeat? The Most High gave us the keys to their defeat years ago, and all it took for his people was to say, you know what? The system doesn't work. Well, I voted in the system. I looked at the system. I wanted to make sure that I could stay involved in the system. I wanted to prop up the system. For what? Because historically, countless, now people are actually making this and equating this. Oh my goodness, Black History Month. All of a sudden, our people have ding, 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 ding. The light bulb came on. You mean to tell me that I just need to sit here and see them go crazy and then yes. Yes, that's all you need to do was just see them go crazy. That's all you need to do was to see them expose themselves. We need to fight against the system. No, you're not. You're not going to fight against the system. So you're going to do all of these topical remonstrations. And then guess what? It's going to be your people being off. Then guess what? You're going to do the same exact thing. Because you want to know why? Because they're not original. Do you really think that they want to replace this system? No, they don't. This is their heaven. Come on out here and protest, and then you all be body sacrifices, and there we go. We shed their blood, and now everything is fine. We shed their blood. Everything is good. Have you noticed that? As long as it wasn't us and it was them, well, I feel confident. I feel good about this. You know what? There's a brand new day. I see the silver lining. Boy, isn't the sky shining a lot brighter today? Oh, boy. And that is how they operate. That is how they function. We're not saying anything out of the normal. Matter of fact, that is their normal. And the reality is that there's no lies detected on this. You don't see them coming in here and saying, oh, that's a lie. Matter of fact, the only time that they have confrontations on these channels is when we talk about that Eastern Mediterranean nation overtly, and when we talk about developing projects in Africa. Why? Because that's what they're scared. That is their crux. That is what they know of their spiritual authority that is now being undermined, not by us, by them themselves. Because why? Because we're not authorizing it. Plainly speaking. We were there to basically co-sign on their wickedness. And in doing so, guess what? They were able to project, well, you know what? It's not us. I think it's actually you all. It's you all that are this, you all that are that. You all. Okay, then I guess it's us. Thank you for getting us cleaned up in the 80s and 90s with these god-awful prison sentences that they now only receive, if they've ever even received any sentences at our length for the same offense. No, matter of fact, what they do is they say, well, you want to know what? They need to kick their addiction and we need to do it in a more humane manner. Oh, so you're recognizing that what you did to us was inhumane. And then guess what? It was crickets. That's not what I'm saying. And then what did we say? No, you don't have to say anymore. Let the Most High judge. That's why I tell people, I'm like, get out of their way while the Most High is judging them. Lest you turn around and you get judged too. You're going to receive the same judgment if you want to mess with them during their judgment. Leave them alone. Let them be judged. Don't run back into the burning house when their house is fully on fire. When they set the blaze themselves. And speaking of that, yeah, Brother Asaph, yes, they gave us heroin and they got fentanyl. Absolutely. That is their judgment. They know that doesn't, we're not messing with that. And I'm so proud of our people that we're not messing with that. Well, it's a bad drug, so they need to be treated more humanely. And because of this, we're going to go after every other country besides the ones that's actually manufacturing that drug, which is China. They already know that that's China. And yes, China is providing that. That is literally the recompense that they're providing. They know what it did to their families. But I have this here. This is from Yahoo Finance. I put this in here earlier in the chat, and I want to listen. This is from a Bloomberg brief. And here we go.
Issued this directive to banks to trim their exposure to treasuries now.
Morning, Lizzie. It's part of an ongoing saga of what China has been trying to maneuver China wants to steer away from its dominance on the US, whether it's in investments or whether it's in industry. And what we are seeing is the former one, obviously. And it's an interesting story. It's a big ship turning around, but it's going to take, it will take place over time, and the moves will be gradual. If you look at China's holdings of treasuries, they were about 1.3 trillion about a dozen years ago. Now that's come off a lot, to the extent that their treasury holdings are only about 682 billion. So that's already less than half of what they had about 10, 12 years ago. And you know what the story.
I'm gonna caveat that. I'm gonna put a pin right there. They went from 1.3 trillion to 682 billion. And now they're wanting to limit more exposure. Why is this? It's actually quite simple. This isn't going to be a dump. Excuse me. It's not going to be a dump in a matter of months. It's not going to be a dump in a matter of years. I would imagine that this is going to be in a matter of probably weeks, maybe if not potentially days. China's gearing up for war. That's it, plainly speaking. And what does that mean? That means now you're going to have market volatility, because the mainstay of this market has always been Chinese wealth. And China has stated that they are going to be the global reserve currency, i.e., you don't assume that title without taking out the king. If you want to be king, you want to take out the other king. The king doesn't just abdicate the throne. The U.S. isn't just going to say, well, you know what, China, our day is over. We tried. We were built on something wicked anyway. You know what? We knew Jacob. You really didn't know of him. So we're going to get judged. And we're just going to, let me just brush off this seat for you and tidy up. Let me dust this thing off. And, you know, let me get some Brasso and get this shine right here on this stone for you. No. That's right, Pastor Rick Fletcher. That's exactly what they said. Ding dong, the dollar is dead. They're going to just have the niceties here on Bloomberg. This is Yahoo Finance. This is Bloomberg. Oh, well, you know, they're going to have the ship, and the ship is going to, they're steering it in a really different direction. And, you know, they're trying to navigate the Bermuda Triangle, and they're trying to go away from Krakatoa and the volcano and the tsunami and all this other stuff. Look, stop. That's not for our consumption. That's actually for their consumption. Oh, well, what do we do? I stated this. You don't have much time left. What do you think happens when the dollar, because everything has to be reshuffled. If China pulls, guess what? Who else pulls? Quite simple. Japan. Then from there, the whole dominoes fall down. The only one that's going to be literally left holding the bag is going to be Europe. And that's because Europe has no choice. And then that's when Russia's going to be laughing at them. They sanctioned themselves into annihilation. We saw that happen 5 years ago. That's what I put in my description. This has been a key play in over, it was about 5 years. As soon as Biden came into office, Biden threw sanctions right on Russia. I don't like Russia. We're just going to throw sanctions. What Russia's like, what do we even do? You know what you did? We're just going to throw sanctions. And then we're going to expand NATO. What about the other long-standing agreements? What agreements? Look, Japan hates China, but Japan's not going to hold the bag of debt. This is now the hot potato. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. This is a hot potato right here. It's not about hating anybody. It's about now, do you want to be poor? I can't go down with the sinking ship because why? That's liquidity. And they're saying, we're done with that. Give us our gold back. Give us our assets back. And now all of the other countries are going to have to react because they're not trying to hold on to financial instruments that are not going to be worth anything. Yeah, we're doing a great job. We got Bitcoin, we got gold. They got paper. Do you understand why the U.S. was in Mali? They're trying to break apart the Sahel because they know that the Sahel is breaking the West. It is literally breaking the West without a shot being fired. This is the global strategy to breaking the U.S. No, look, it's literally a starve them out of existence. Don't have them turn their guns on us. Have them turn their guns on one another. A lot of people don't realize how fast an economy can fall when there's no liquidity in the economy. An economy will fall overnight. See, what a lot of people don't realize is this. This, to me, in my opinion, and I look at things, I see things, I understand things. I've been exposed to things during my military career. And then you start to analyze things when they talk about Jade Helm and all this other stuff. Why are they always talking about a civil war? Why are they always talking about civil disturbances? Why? Because they know that as soon as a society fractures, guess what's going to end up happening? States will then mobilize with other states to do what? To protect their interest. Remember state sovereignty, all that other good stuff? And then states will do what? As part of a federal system, they're going to have to try to maintain order. Well, in order for this to be maintained, Well, they have to get to the federal system, so then the federal system can then be able to do what? Be maintained. They have to then try to steer it and drive it in a direction that it's not being driven off the cliff. So then what will end up happening? Civil disobedience. Many will call it a civil war, others will call it being able to have civil protections. Now, yeah, Brother Asaph had stated, you got two states that say that they will leave the union once the debt gets to 40 trillion. I believe we've already surpassed that 40 trillion last year, but they're not going to have a realization of that debt ever. Just like they don't post the actual job numbers here in the United States. You don't have job data anymore. Sean says, keep in mind, they say Hebrews are not smart enough to function complex systems, so when it crashes, it ain't our fault. That is true. Hey, listen, what? They're looking for fault in Judah, and none shall be found. So now in the system, one of the things I had on in here in this thumbnail, it was the Kung Fu Hustle. That movie came out in 2004. I was in the Marine Corps at that time, and one of the folks that I was working with, he used to swear by this movie. Oh, I love it. I love it. And the thing is that to me, that was the stupidest movie ever. But the reality was, in that movie, in order to defeat the bully, they all came together and they were doing different glancing attacks to keep the bully off centered. And they literally had to work as a team to do that. Which actually shows the collectivist nature that you have in the East, especially with China. But what China did, instead of actually go head on, it actually started to work with other countries. That work included Russia. And I have to constantly remind folks that you had a lot of hegemony that was being waged against the East or global South at that time, of getting China back in line, having sanctions on Russia. And it wasn't just Russia, it was many places. They were over sanctioning, and people were saying, look, this is ridiculous. This has to stop. But what ended up happening was simply this. They said, go ahead. And they created a counter. And what they did, they let everything come to fruition. They let everything be known. They allowed for these things to occur. They allowed for it. So now when you hear these commentators talk about, oh, China flags U.S. bond risk, this is actually the most simplified way to say China's decoupling from the U.S. dollar. And they're doing it right now. And they're doing it like this. These are the functions that the only thing that we could do and say is, well, they did it to themselves. Every move that they made was to literally keep wealth from out of our hands. But invariably, what they actually did was they returned the wealth to the rest of the world. And now they have to come through to Mali and say, you need to accept military aid. I think people know what that means in accepting military aid. Democracy. If you don't, we're going to mobilize some folks. We already know who they are going to mobilize. And they're like, okay, bring it. You already had Ukrainians up in here. They don't get here by themselves. You already had them working with Al-Qaeda elements. They don't get here by themselves. Bring it. We're here for this next round. We're here for all the smoke. Bring it. And I say this. These African countries need to be very careful. Because at the same time as they're trying to appease, and they know what I'm talking about, this is for Ghana and Nigeria. They're going to be messing up their hand on the splinter, on that splintered staff. They're going to be cutting their hands up on that splintered staff. As that staff is breaking and they're holding on, they're going to be cutting their hands up. I don't care if they're saying, oh, it's for the sake of international relations and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get it. But that's the warning. Because, again, we all know, we all understand. We're not dumb. We all get it. But I'm going to tell you this. Right now, we have an opportunity to build a hospital. Please visit Q2A so you can find out how to help us get this hospital taken care of. It's an awesome endeavor. You want to know how to have some real change and to make and to do and to have real progress that will have an impact on generations to come? This is that. Health brings wealth. Visit q2a.org today so you can find out how to support this endeavor. Our goal is by the end of next month to have raised over $400,000 USD. It's a doable goal, and it's a goal that we will achieve through the Most High's awesome grace and power. That's it. We achieved that goal of the containers. And we're going to achieve this goal also. If you would like to sign up, Brother Fast Nickel has a course he's offering this month for free. Crypto Basics in 60 minutes. Learn Crypto 101.com or .info. Learn Crypto 101.info. Line Pride, thank you for the gift. Hallelujah. We're making moves over here. Because, again, I'm telling you, we're not signaling anything. They are. If they're saying something, I'm going to tell you, you need to pay attention to it. And they're telling you things. They're telling you that this time is not short. Because why? Because it takes other nations to prop up this nation. That's why the word says that Babylon rides on the beast. That beast is beginning to buck. And it's about to get trampled. Babylon's about to get trampled. So, family, with that said, I got to get up on out of here. You all be blessed and highly favored, because guess what? The Most High is with us. As you are covered under the blood of his son, Yahusha HaMashiach. And with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.